Háirde fáilte seola an survey na hÉireann ar ranfartíocht na Maclean agus survey na hÉireann ar ranfartíocht na Maclean Michlean Taide ar chéime. And Háirde, you're very welcome to the launch of the national reports for the Irish Survey of Student Engagement and the Irish Survey of Student Engagement for postgraduate research students. And thank you for the very kind introduction. And my name is Dr. Siobhán Nic Fhlannchadha. I'm the project manager for the surveys, which I will refer to collectively as StudentSurvey.ie. And my colleague Michelle from the Union of Students of Ireland is going to be up here in a few minutes, and she's going to talk further about why it is that we're very much putting a concerted effort into calling it StudentSurvey.ie from now on. So, but in the meantime, in front of you, you should have a copy of each of the reports, or if you don't have one already, they are in a stack outside of the room here, so please do grab one before you leave. You also have a bilingual copy of the executive summary for the PGR StudentSurvey.ie report and the StudentSurvey.ie national report. So I'm going to very briefly look at some of the results from 2019. But as you have them in your hands, and you'll also have them online, I'm not going to spend too much time looking at that. The reports are online already, so if you go on to StudentSurvey.ie, you can download them there, the executive summary and the main reports. So one of the things that I do want to mention is that this year we had the inaugural Practitioners Forum, which took place in TU Dublin Grange Gorman, and I want to mention some of the insights and experiences that those who attended that event shared with us. And then I'm going to look mainly at what's new for 2019. So we added questions to both of the reports and the surveys, and I'm going to talk about some of the results, particularly in relation to the PGR survey. And then finally, one of the new things that happened this year is that we have a new institution coming on board, and I'm going to be very delighted to announce who that is in a few minutes. It's very exciting. And then at that point, I'll hand over to Michelle, who's going to talk to you about the rebrand. So very briefly, 2019 in numbers. So this year we had the highest number of participants in the survey ever. So we had 40,558 students give up their time and energy to complete the StudentSurvey.ie survey. And this meant a national response rate of 29%, which brings the total number of students who participated in the survey since it was piloted in 2013 to over 200,000, which is really quite an achievement. In relation to the postgraduate research student survey, the PGR StudentSurvey.ie, we had 2,721 students complete the survey. This means a response rate of 30% nationally, which again is a really important achievement, and it's also a really important survey to give postgraduate research students an opportunity to give feedback on their experience within their institution. And just to note that the PGR StudentSurvey.ie will be adopting a biannual fieldwork cycle from now on. So the next PGR StudentSurvey.ie fieldwork will take place in spring 2021. Yes, that's what I just said. So the inaugural Practitioners Forum for the student survey took place in TU, in TU Dublin Grange Gorman on the 28th of May. It was really well attended. And what we asked those who were in attendance to do, or we asked particular institutions to give presentations on two themes, and those themes were maximising the impact of the results on campus and increasing participation and partnership with students. So one of the institutions that gave a presentation was IT Carlow. We actually have representatives in the room who delivered that presentation. And one of the things that they highlighted was the centrality of ownership, of not only participating in the survey, but of running the survey for students, and that was really central to their goals. And they found that creating and sharing video content by the students was really powerful, but that it was the mixture of the traditional and the digital components that really made it successful in IT Carlow. I think everyone went home from the event talking about the presentation that Aisling McGorry from LITSU delivered, because she talked about the importance of passion when we talk about building a community around owning the survey and running the survey. And this was also something that was very strongly mentioned by Emma Barry from Mary Immaculate College, who talked about setting up the survey working group and how the goal of that was to build community around it as well. Lisa Bennett and Emer Cunningham from UCD also reflected on this collaborative approach to running the surveys, both in terms of running it with the undergraduate and top postgraduate populations and also with their PGR students. And while they reflected on what they achieved in doing so, they did also spend some time reflecting on the challenges that can bring. Particularly, they found with an institution as big as UCD, being able to get that message and get that communication and collaboration, being able to do that across such a wide and diverse and widely spread student community within their institution. Collaboration was also central to the approach that NUI Galway take, and NUI Galway not only achieve collaboration within their institution, but also across institutions, and they work with GMIT to run a campaign around the survey, so it actually becomes a Galway StudentSurvey.ie fieldwork period rather than one institution or other, though I am told that there is some friendly competition between the institutions as to who can achieve the higher response rate, so that's not necessarily a bad thing. And then also in addition, Aidan Hooker and her colleagues in GMIT looked at it in terms of maximising the impact of the results on campus and talked about this fabulous data visualisation mechanism that they've built within the institution. So it was really great to see the discussions. I know it was one of the things that was mentioned earlier about the use of the data, that we've become really good at generating the feedback, and then it's how we go about actually interrogating those results. So this is one of the ways that was highlighted. So, looking at the results from this year, by their nature, the results of StudentSurvey.ie and PGR StudentSurvey.ie can be fairly, the change from one year to the next can be fairly minimal. When you think about the results being averaged out over 27 institutions and 22 institutions respectively. So, an analysis in Ireland and also of other countries that run surveys like this has shown the same thing. So the main thing to take away from that is that it's not so much about the differences between institutions as within. So the emphasis really should be on looking within the institution and what the results are telling you within your institution. And it reinforces the idea that you need that local knowledge to be able to interpret what's coming out of the survey and to be able to do something with it. So you, as representatives of your institutions, are the best placed to be able to draw understanding from this that will be relevant to you and your students. So for those in the room who are here representing individual institutions, I'd just like to remind you that the data sets from 2019 have been released to your institutions, and the online system for interrogating those data are available for the data from StudentSurvey.ie and also for the first time PGR StudentSurvey.ie. So please do go and examine them and contemplate them and mull them over and add them up and subtract them and do whatever it is that you need to do, because they will reap benefits in terms of the impact that they can have on enhancing that experience for your undergraduate and your postgraduate student populations, which then should have a positive impact on the community as a whole and also for your staff and for your faculty and, as I said, the institution as a whole. So let's take a very brief look at a couple of the things that are new for 2019. So one of the things, my own background is in psychology, so I was very pleased that we could add these questions on personal outlook to the PGR survey. And these were questions that were added in 2019 due to a call for their addition from the feedback from students from the pilot in 2018. So one of the first things to note in relation to these is that slightly fewer than 3/4 of the PGR students who participated definitely or mostly agreed that they're satisfied with their life at the moment, but just slightly less than this agreed that they're happy with their life in the institution at the moment. Slightly more startlingly, I think, is that only 55.7% of the PGR students agree that they're happy with their work-life balance. And I think given that students undertaking research degrees are in this really formative time, they're forming good habits for their careers going forward. I would really see this as being a career development or something that has to be developed at this time, that can be brought forward, and that this is something that we should be supporting PGR students to develop. And then a similar percentage agrees that they know who they would talk to about their day-to-day problems. So this is something I think that institutions could action on quite quickly, that if the supports are there, maybe your PGR students just don't know where to access them, and that's something that could be done as a direct action from the feedback from the survey. And then I think what's really outstanding and what tallies with what Amelia was talking about earlier about having a sense of purpose from the research that you're undertaking as a PGR student is that around about 80%, this is actually the highest rate of agreement that students had with feeling that their research degree was worthwhile. So that was a positive finding from that. in chapter 4 of the 2 reports, traditionally what we sought to do with this chapter is to take it as an opportunity to look deeper at a particular topic. And this year we took it as an opportunity to look deeper at internationally domiciled students in both reports. For the StudentSurvey.ie for the taught students, we decided to do a comparison between 2016 and 2019 because they coincide with the beginning and coming close to the end of the current internationalisation strategy for Ireland. So one of the key findings from the, excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself. One of the key findings of the report is in relation to the profile of internationally domiciled students. So one of the things that we noted in relation to the profile was that the percentage of those studying postgraduate research at postgraduate levels, so taught postgraduates, had increased over 15% from 2016 to 2019, and they tend to be older in 2019 than they were in 2016 as well. And one of the major changes that we saw was the profile of the region and country of permanent domicile has changed a lot from 2016 to 2019, and possibly as expected, our percentage of students from the UK who are studying in Ireland and responding to the survey has dropped from 10% to 7% in that short period of time as well. So one of the key findings of the report that we included in the press release, and that's been picked up by a couple of the mainstream media this morning, has been around the responses of the internationally domiciled students as a cohort to the survey, and that across the board they tend to agree more positively, so to speak. They agree more strongly with sentiments that lead us to believe that they're engaging with their institution than do the Irish domiciled students. This is a really interesting finding, I think. And in relation to, I might just come back to that in a moment, looking then at the internationally domiciled students who took part in the PGR survey, and what we wanted to do was explore differences between those, not only just internationally domiciled and Irish domiciled, but breaking those internationally domiciled down into those who are living in countries within the EU who are now studying in Ireland, or countries outside of the EU, EEA and Switzerland. And actually one of the really interesting things to come out of that was that we looked at, and you'll see all of this in the report, but we looked at development opportunities, research skills and other transferable skills in particular as part of this chapter. And we found that where differences did emerge, they tended to be that the students who were permanently domiciled in countries outside of the EU were taking up these opportunities, be it for personal development or other transferable skills, more so than the Irish domiciled students or the EU domiciled students were reported doing. And I just thought it was really interesting, it was really worthwhile to make that split between them, because actually the EU students tended to kind of pattern alongside the Irish ones, where it was the ones from countries outside of the EU that had a bit of a different profile. We talk about that a little bit in the report about why that might be the case. But essentially what I wanted to highlight was that the findings provide valuable insight, particularly in the context of impending introduction of new regulatory regime. But the important thing is that actually they show that higher education institutions in Ireland are already quite far along the way in terms of providing an education experience to the international domiciled students that is of equitable experience to those from outside of Ireland, from outside of the EU. And one of the other things that we wanted to do as part of our feature on the international domiciled students was to hear a little bit from the staff and the students who are working with international domiciled students, or who are international domiciled students themselves. So before I show these, I would particularly like to thank the staff and students in AIT, IT Carlow, Letterkenny IT, UCD and Trinity for filming these interviews for us, and particularly to Kate, who was there a second ago, and I don't know where she's gone now. There's Kate. Kate Wood from the IUA for editing this footage.
I did the survey to get people to understand the experience that students have within the college, and it would be nice to get some opinions out there,
I think it's a responsibility of every student, to be honest. And especially for me, it was really important because I'm a girl from Belarus who came here from such a remote country. And I really hope that my experience and everything what I lived here will help someone from my region to come here to Athlone Institute of Technology and to pursue his higher education.
The culture difference is there, and but sometimes we need to understand and also communicate more.
My experience over 3 years here is that really impressing. Like, I need to tell people this, and the survey is the most direct way that I can contribute to the results, and then people will see that, like, even I know one person answer is like small, but people will see that in the result, and I would be happy if I encourage people to come here.
I hope to see the honest opinion about what students have in this college, and if there are areas of improvement, that would be nice to read about it. And yeah, the thing about improvement is more feedback you have, the more responsive the college can be towards implementing those improvements. So
I think that Ireland is one of the preferred destinations for international students to come to. And as I know, Ireland has an intake of more than 35,000 students per year, and if my feedback, my personal study experience here at AIT will help at least one person, one prospective student, I would be really thankful and grateful.
Here we do try to improve our services and put in place strategies to deliver a better service, to be a better office, global relations office as a whole. So it really helps pinpoint where the strategy needs to focus on, what we need to maybe pull back on, how to better deliver a service and how to be a better office as a whole, what we might not be looking at before, what we need to stop looking at. So it does help tailor strategies every year and provide a better service every year.
From the student engagement survey, we realised the importance of providing very clear feedback to our students when we're reporting on their assessment results, but also improving their academic writing skills. So the fact that we have an established academic writing centre is a big support to all students on campus.
I suppose a student coming from a different culture, that they are able to maintain that culture whilst here in Ireland, and also develop a sense of respect within the international cohort for other cultures. So I think AIT offers that, because we have a great cultural diversity here of over 60 different nationalities studying here on campus. About 15% of the entire student population come from the international cohort. So from that perspective, it's important that we at AIT understand the needs of these students, and I suppose that's one of the things that I've learned through the trade missions and delegations with the international office.
Results from a survey like StudentSurvey.ie really do have an effect. We try, I suppose, to each time when we get results of surveys like this, we review the data and then we try to incorporate that into our services as we develop. So every year we would review, for example, how we organise orientation, how we organise a variety of our services. And the data that we get back from surveys like this helps us to understand, what went well in the previous year, and helps to inform what we might do differently for the next year in order to make sure that we're hitting all of our expectation targets with our student populations, whether they're domestic students or international students.
Okay, so great to hear from the students themselves, both in the survey and also to hear those voices come alive when they're talking about their feedback, about their experience. And then the last thing that I want to mention before I hand over to Michelle is that a new development that we've had as we go into Fieldwork 2020 is that we're delighted to announce that Dublin Business School will be joining the Student Survey for the first time. So we really look forward to launching the survey there on the 3rd of February 2020, and we look forward to the impact that participating in the survey will have. And I just want to congratulate Lee, Eddie, Andrew, Iris and your team. Lee is here somewhere. I think, there he is, right in front of me. So we're absolutely delighted that DBS are coming on board. And then just before I hand over to Michelle, I actually do want to very quickly thank the StudentSurvey.ie Communications Group, who worked tirelessly on the rebrand. I was very demanding of them over the last few months, and they really put an awful lot of time and energy and creativity and thought into the whole process. And as well, I'd like to thank Pecant, who are based in Limerick. They are our design company, and they're represented by Conor, who's skulking down the back. So an awful lot of effort went into it. We really hope that you like it. So I'm going to invite Michelle up to introduce you to the new look, and I will be back to you in a couple of minutes' time after she's finished telling you all about it.
Hi everyone, I'm Michelle Byrne. I'm the Vice President for Campaigns and the Deputy President in the Union of Students in Ireland, and I've had the pleasure of working with some great people in the communications group the last year and a half. And we got this great project to work on within that, which is fantastic. And I suppose to start, this absolute privilege to launch this new brand, and how did we start this conversation, was actually we saw that a lot of people were using a lot of different words for how they referred to the survey. Was it the student survey? Was it ISI? Was it the Irish Student Survey for engagement? So there was a lot of different words being thrown out, and the communications for this was becoming quite complicated. We even had people, who is this girl Susie and Izzy that people keep talking about? Who these girls are in the higher education sector that people are referring to? Well, just so you're aware, Izzy has gone for a long walk into the sunset now, and it's StudentSurvey.ie from here on out. So just to get that very, very clear. So the new name, I suppose, really kicked off the start of the idea for complete rebrand, and that was important. So even from the communications piece, we felt that this ISI, as it was before, the StudentSurvey.ie has been around for a number of years now, and we wanted to refresh with the brand, and we had very ambitious ideas for how that would look. So I suppose as well, to add to that, then the new hashtag is Have Your Say, and that actually came from student representatives themselves in developing that. So you've seen a lot of the branding through Siobhán's slideshow as well, but I suppose the idea came from the kind of background of a lot of communication now, particularly amongst young people, is becoming a lot more image-based when it comes to emojis, and you can see there on the slideshow where the kind of idea is coming from. But the brand is also really flexible depending on what stakeholders are engaging with it. So obviously this kind of this imagery would be suitable for the students who are actually engaging in the survey directly. But if you have a look at the reports, it's a much more muted look when it comes to the imagery. It still has the bright, vibrant look of the colours and the graphics, but less of the emoji side of things, and so that's suitable for all of the stakeholders who are taking the survey. I suppose we wanted to create this cohesive identity to make sure that everyone felt like they were part of it, everyone could share in it, so that was a really big part that the comms group set out to achieve. And we really want to modernise it as well, kind of, as I said, to refresh the brand, so that was an important piece of the work too. And as well as that, a big part of it was to create a website that it was a living and breathing piece of work that can be continually developing and being added to and being flexible. So that was a big part of it. And I would actually encourage you at this point to take out your phones and actually have a look at the website, StudentSurvey.ie, because this website is supposed to be meant to be engaged with a lot online. It's specifically developed so that it's mobile friendly, it's really scrollable, you can really move from one section of the website to another with really easy kind of icons for you to click on and interact in. So that was a really important part. And of course then the students themselves, a lot of them are going to be accessing the survey from their mobile, so that was a key part of that too. And I suppose with this kind of branding idea as well, like the materials are going to be really accessible, really clear, and I'll show you some at the in a slide or two as well. And I also want to draw attention to the cutouts that we have at the door as well. We would love for you to get pictures with the cutouts. We have a pull-up banner and our backdrop there for you to interact with as institutions, so it'd be great to get some group photos there as well. And because, as I said, like the website is a living and breathing piece of work for you to keep adding to, and each one of us, as one of the new features on the website, has our own space there. So if you have a look there, you'll see that this is the landing page of the website. There are places here where you can have your own personalised information for each institution to showcase the amazing work that you're doing, so that we can learn from each other, but also to obviously encourage others to do with great work that you're doing on your own institutions. So I think this is a really great new feature, and I really hope it gives more ownership to the project for each institution to feel like they can feed into the project and show off what they're doing as well. Another piece that is a new feature on this is the integrated reports. So this is obviously to increase the access to the availability of these reports and to make sure they're there for easier reading for people who need it. And I suppose they're much more searchable and maybe less clunky. So that was a really important part for it as well. There's also going to be tools for analysis there and for promotion, and this is a work in progress as well, so it's going to be more and more added here. And there's improved access to the promotional materials, so it's very clear as to where they are. So we hope that you enjoy interacting with this website and feel a great sense of ownership into it, that you feel like you can add to it. And thank you to everyone who sent in information already, and there's a lot of content up there already, but there's never enough, so please keep sending it in, and we want to know how you're getting along as the project progresses throughout the year, and so that is important. And I suppose then I'll just give you a quick glimpse into, that's the website then. We do have some materials as well on the way. We're looking at some great water bottles and a couple of other things for you to keep an eye out for. But I'm really excited to be able to launch this new rebrand today, and we're really proud of what we've achieved in delivering. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll leave it there. Gormila Maggie, thank you all very much. Please do stay in touch. So I've deliberately put like my email address, phone number, address, call in, but please do stay in touch, as Michelle, and thank you so much, Michelle, for highlighting that point. Yes, the website is somewhere where you can, if you're doing something that has come as a result of the survey, that you're launching something, that you're changing something, let me know, send me on those details, and I can put them on the website and just give a little extra recognition of that, and just somewhere else that you can kind of tell your students, look, you can read about it here, you can see it here, but it just creates a little bit more energy about it. So please, as Michelle said, do have a route around the website, see what you think of it, and let me know. I'm Siobhán at StudentSurvey.ie, so please do stay in touch and let me know what you think. Any feedback is always welcome. And I have and just last thing before I go, I would really like to thank the steering group for the project, the comms group, as I've mentioned already, the technical group, and the PGR working group, and he's absolutely going to kill me for this, but particularly the former project manager, Sean O'Reilly, for his unending patience and answering questions and digging reports and documents out for me that he stored away months ago. So thank you very much to everybody who's been involved, and that's it. Gormila Maggie.